stretching our necks. Kurt is away helping a friend take care of his house, so Rocky's going to fill in for him. I'm Douglas, and we're going to talk about how to be good neighbors today. But first, it's Memorial Day, and we're honoring those that gave literally everything over the centuries for us to enjoy this free republic. And just a reminder of everything everybody's given for us, the blood, the sweat, the tears, their life. I think we miss a lot of what people are giving now. One of them people is James O'Keefe. He is literally a national hero, and he gets no recognition, and he is giving us everything he has to make sure that we stay free. And it's amazing. I like what he's doing, and I like what he does and what he stands for. Did I show you that new video, Oligarchy?
No.
Oh, we're gonna have to watch that after. Alrighty. Well, we live in the greatest nation on earth, and today we memorialize those that gave everything. So, sticking with that, kind of wanted to think about, look, what do we do? How are we squandering that so much? Big part of that is we're not good neighbors. Think about everything that's going on in the country, across the country right now. You have people's homes, people's cities being burned, being destroyed because nobody gives a crap about anybody or anybody's things. And things are important. People work their entire lives for those things. And on a whim, because somebody didn't get their way, they're going to destroy it and burn it down for what? Now, because they don't have a vested interest. They don't go to the person next door and say, hey, let's have a relationship. They don't go and enthrall themselves in their community in any meaningful way. That's why it's so easy for them to burn it down. So, how do you be a good neighbor? It's simple, but yet it's so complicated. You can't just be a good neighbor. You actively have to work at it. Don't just show up and move into a house and be like, yeah, I'm the greatest neighbor. And you're not. More than likely, you're irritating and you're rude and you don't even know you're doing these things. So you have to actively be seeking to be a better neighbor. How do you even go about starting to be a good neighbor? Well, so I go back and I think through the process of us buying our house and looking at the community we wanted to live in, the areas we wanted to live in. I thought it was a good idea to go around and knock on doors and ask people their names and say, hey, look, I'm interested in buying a house over there. What's your name? And people are off-put by that. They don't like other people coming and introducing themselves. It's weird. Nobody ever looks you in the eye and shakes your hand anymore. They sit there and they stick their nose in their phones when they're walking down the streets. It's no wonder more people don't die getting hit by cars because they're so engrossed in their electronics. It's confusing how to interact with people, especially nowadays with this BS COVID going on. Nobody wants to engage at all anymore. We got lucky. We live in a really good neighborhood. I have really good neighbors on all sides of me, across the street and on the same street, but they didn't know us from Adam either. I mean, it took time to develop those relationships, right? And how did it start? How do you start going about developing a relationship in your neighborhood? Well, it's simple. Don't be an ass. That's like the biggest part. Just don't be a jerk. Be welcoming. Be embracing to the fact that other people are going to have different ideas than you on how to do stuff. You don't have to shun them for it. And you shouldn't be shunned for it either. A lot of people aren't tolerant. They may claim it and they may, ram it down your throat, but people aren't tolerant. Not truly. Not what it takes to be a community. Not what it takes to be neighborly. There's no value put in being neighborly anymore. Why? It's one of the greatest values you could have is being neighborly. When we first moved in here, the neighbors that we have now on either side don't live there anymore, but the ones that did live there were awesome. We had a single lady over here. She was great with our kids, loved our kids. She was awesome to be a neighbor with. And she moved out and we got new neighbors. And they're awesome too, don't get me wrong, they are. But we didn't have a relationship with them, so we had to develop one. How did we develop one? Same with this side. These guys moved out, new people moved in. It's a kind of a funny story how we developed a relationship with him. He's a crappy Cubs fan, and it was summer and our windows were open, and I went over, introduced myself, and he was very open to it. So I mean, right from the get-go, he's pretty neighborly to begin with. So it wasn't hard to develop a relationship. It's the ones that aren't friendly that you have to actually worry about developing a relationship with. And I know I'm a little off track here, but he actually heard me say, "Oh my God, he's an effing Cubs fan," and then that developed a relationship that we could actually have and build upon. And it was good and it was neat. But if you're just generally moving into some place, people are a little off-put by you. You know, that's natural. They don't know you. You don't know them. You need to break that barrier down, and you need to develop a relationship with these people. And it could be as simple as garbage day, right? That's how we developed a relationship with Bomb. Everybody has the same garbage day on your block. I mean, unless it's a really weird block in the opposite side of the street, or the cutoff is right there at your house, they don't have the same garbage day as you. Unlikely, most people have the same garbage day. So what we did was, we have neighbors on either side of us and across the street. So I don't work Fridays. So on Friday when I get up, because I work nights, when I get up, I go and I take my garbage can in and I see how many garbage cans are still left around the block, and I go and I bring them garbage cans in. Pretty simple thing to do. They're on wheels, they're empty, they're not very hard. All it takes is time and a carrying heart. So you bring the garbage can up. What does that do? Do you know what that does?
That shows them that you're friendly.
Shows them kindness. It shows them a little bit of respect. It engages them to actually come and talk to you, because a good neighbor would come and say thank you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just a good person, not necessarily a neighbor, just a good person would be thankful that that's one less thing that they had to worry about that day. Sure, it's not a big, huge thing, but still it takes time, it takes energy. You know, that's one less thing they had to worry about. All right, so he had to work. He gets home from work at 6:30 at night. He doesn't see a garbage can there. All right, you know, I didn't have to do that. That's one less thing I have to do that might take 5 minutes. So people are grateful for that. That engages them. They want to come over. They want to say hi. They want to say thank you. You start to develop a relationship with them. Over time, you know, we give 4 seasons here. So it's as simple as, okay, look, I had a couple days off over the weekend. I seen that you worked. You know, we go, we cut our grass every time it needs to be cut. We see that yours is, you know, growing a little long. In the interest of saving you some time, we're out here. It's a beautiful day. We go and cut it, right? So maybe, you know, that's a little intrusive, or can be. But like I said, you've already done the garbage can thing. Or, you know, if he was okay with that, the odds of him not having to cut his grass, or her not having to cut their grass, I think they'd be okay with it. You got to feel your neighbors out. You can't just go cutting their grass. I mean, but it's a way to be neighborly. You know, maybe when they come over and they say thank you for something, you invite them over. Hey, let's cook some hot dogs and just have a fire, have a beer, do something, and then you end up developing a relationship. Now you have a vested interest in what happens in your community. They look out for your interest, you look out for their interest, and you have a relationship. Whether it's across the street or down the road, you guys are a community, you're a block, you're together. We don't have that anymore. Nobody has that. You know, I know most of our neighbors here because I take the time to know them. When they're outside and you're outside, maybe you walk down the sidewalk and you say hi and you shake hands. How you doing today? I'm Douglas. What's your name? If they truly don't want to get to know you or meet you, then there's not much you can do about that. But you have to live here. No matter what you do, you have to live here. Your kids are going to grow up here. You kind of want to be as neighborly as possible because we all are living here. Whether you're a renter or an owner, it doesn't matter. You need to be neighborly. So, another thing that we do is, all right, we blow down our sidewalk, right?
Yep.
We rake, we have this big giant oak tree in our yard. It's awesome. It's beautiful. But they get everywhere, and it stretches all the way over to that neighbor's house, and it stretches all the way over to that neighbor's house. Can't do nothing about it. It's a protected tree. That's cool. But it drops leaves and nuts and sticks everywhere. So what we do is, I went and bought a leaf blower, and we went and bought a rake. And so every weekend we rake up all the sticks and nuts in everybody's driveway, and we blow them down and make sure they're out of there. Now that's one less thing your neighbor has to worry about doing. It's not expected. They don't expect you to do it. You don't have to do it. But maybe they do it every weekend too, but that's one less thing that they have to do. It's a good neighborly thing to do. And then, like I said, we get 4 seasons. So raking leaves, snow blowing. And I'll snow blow the entire block. First, it's fun. You get to learn it. I love doing it. And not everybody has a snowblower. I would say there's 3 of us on the block that have a snowblower. 4, because he has one too. So 4 of us. 4 of us have a snowblower. Other than that, everybody else is out there shoveling. Again, if a good snow comes on a Friday, I don't work. So I don't mind getting up, going out there and playing in the snow. Do you?
Nope.
Nah. No, you go out there and I guarantee you not one person is ever going to cry that you shoveled their snow for them, right? Not one person has ever. Matter of fact, I think the one lady gave me a gift card to Applebee's. Didn't ask for it. Didn't want it. Didn't do it for money. Did it because I loved doing it. And they weren't home. And so they come home from work and they're all snow blowed out. They love it. They absolutely love it. And then that engages them. They come over, they say hi, they say thank you, they introduce themselves, and then you develop a relationship with them, and now you're being neighborly. It's a good thing to be neighborly. All right, everybody has a vested interest in having a good community then. Then, when the riots do come, like last summer, nothing happens to my house. Why? Because the community stuck up for me. They didn't let them do anything. Move along. Get out of here. That's a good guy right there. Oh, but he's a Trump supporter. So? He's a good guy. It's a problem with these rioters and these riots. They don't know anybody that they're burning their houses down or their businesses down. But the people that live here, they know us. They know we're not assholes. They know we're not jerk-offs. They know that we're good people. Because you develop a good neighborly skill. And if more people engaged in that activity, in goodwill around their neighborhood, maybe stuff like that wouldn't happen as much. What do you think?
That makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense, right? It's such a simple concept, but so hard to explain. I'm not really sure if I'm doing a good job of explaining it, but I wrote it all out. And it sounded good, but then you start talking and it's like, how do you, I'm not just going to read from this and be like, oh yeah, this is what I think. That's, that helicopter a little bit thing, Flight for Life. We live right next to a hospital, so the Flight for Life comes over every now and then. Man, I tell you what, keeping a well-maintained yard is just good. It's good practice. It's discipline. It keeps you in habits that you should have. Not being lazy, not being greedy. And then helping your neighbor out. You shouldn't want to see anybody struggle. So you take the time, if you got it, to help out. That's being neighborly. That's being a good neighbor. If your neighbor genuinely doesn't want it, don't just be intrusive. Be polite about it. Hey, I noticed your grass is getting long. Want a hand? Don't make him feel like he's not keeping up to a set standard. There's no standard, dude. Everybody works. Everybody. No matter what. So if you can take one thing off their plate because you have an extra minute to do it, that's good community service right there. Every weekend we go down, we buy groceries to grill, right? And every weekend, I give money to, I don't want to say the name, please, but the local food bank. Right, I buy them little bags of buy this and we donate a meal to whoever. And so that's a form of community service too. And I don't even live in that community. That grocery store's all the way on the other side of town, right? But I still do it. Why? It's a form of good charitable community service. Well, that's one form, you know, picking up garbage. We go up and down the block here picking up garbage all the time. Why? Neighborly, man. Good community service. You know, you don't have to go somewhere and sign in and do community service. You can do it every day. And we do. We clean up this entire neighborhood every day. For one way or another, not just, you know, because we have to, but because we want to. Sure, they got street sweepers that come by and pick that crap up, but until then, it looks like crap, right? Set the example. I see the kids across the street start doing that now too on that side of the street. Why? Why do you think they do that? They didn't do it before.
We're setting a good example.
Because you're setting a good example. Set the example. Be a good neighbor. Lead by example. You know, that's all you can do. That's how you be neighborly. And if you're neighborly to other people, they're going to be neighborly to you. It's almost infectious. And kill them with kindness. If you're kind to them, they're going to be kind to you. There's no way they can be mean to you. You're not mean to them. Yeah, well, there was another point. I don't think I'm going to make it. It's just ragging on Biden. He's an idiot. But you can transmit that principle in every action in life. Go to school. Be kind there. Even though kids may not be kind to you, you be kind. Why? I'll lead by example. You don't have to get in a fist fight over words. Stand up for yourself, but don't be them. Be better than them. As long as you live by certain basic principles, you're gonna lead a good life, right?
Yeah.
Well, that starts at home, don't it? See, I gotta lead by example too. I don't know if you want to follow all my examples, but still. Alright, I think that's going to wrap up being neighborly. I don't think I can really go into much more detail other than don't be a jerk. Right? I mean, just don't be a jerk. We get a lot of hate mail from, which you can't even see anymore because it was actually really windy today. And I really wanted to film outside. I don't like filming inside. And, here, boy, you want a snack? There you go. There you go. Who's a good boy? It was really windy, so I had to move the camera closer so you could pick up my voice. And, so you don't get to see the flags in all the glory. But, got pulled over this weekend. Had my concealed carry with me. Didn't get shot. It's amazing how easy it was to not get shot. Right? Cops are just murderers, people hunting, right? Think the whole thing took 10 minutes. I broke the law. He gave me a ticket, sent me on my way. He flat out knew I had a gun because I gave him the concealed carry permit. He's like, all right, just keep your gun in hands where I can see them. Okay. Oh, it's that simple to not get shot? I keep my hands here and don't move them? Unless you ask me to? It's amazing how that works. I get it, that's a little off topic, but it's funny, I wanted to say. Had a car full of kids. Set a very good example. Yes, sir, no, sir, hands on the wheel. Be truthful, be honest. Not speeding. He gave me a ticket. I think the whole thing, I don't even think it lasted 10 minutes. He went back. It lasted longer because I couldn't get my insurance to pull up because we didn't have reception. Other than that, he went back, he wrote me a ticket, and I was on my way. People would call that white privilege. You know what I'd call that? Call that giving respect where it was due. He's an officer of the law. At that moment, you broke the law. He had command of that situation. I certainly was not happy with being pulled over because I didn't think I did anything wrong. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Ultimately, I ended up being wrong. I went back and I looked at the speed limit signs, and you know, sure enough, they were exactly what they said he were. He wasn't being dishonest. I didn't agree with him at the time, but I still did exactly what I was supposed to do. Why are you supposed to do that? Well, because they are there to enforce a traffic law. That's their job. They enforce the traffic law. Laws exist for a reason. So he pulled me over. I had my driver's license and permit ready to go. The only thing I was having an issue with was my insurance. He's like, all right, I'm going to go run this. I'll be right back. Still couldn't get the insurance pulled up, but luckily I'd saved the receipt for the insurance that came out that day, right? And so he took that as good enough. I was getting a ticket no matter what. I broke the law. But he wasn't an asshole about it, neither was I. He probably wasn't an asshole because, oh wait, I wasn't. It's amazing how that works. Just be kind to people and they're kind to you. Sure, he wasn't happy that I broke the law, but he wasn't a prick about it either. Hey, you broke the law. You get a ticket. Oh yeah. All right, let's wrap it up. That's my Memorial Day podcast.